Hi, Kristen. It's so great to meet you on video,
Nice,
finally.
nice to meet you, and thank you for having me today.
Great. So you're joining us from Florida. I'm based in Athens, Greece. So it's already dark in here, but it's daytime over in Florida. And we've been in contact. We had like a great expert interview with you. And what's most amazing is that you actually went from journalist, news reporter, right,
Yep.
to PR consultant. So you actually know the background of journalists, how to pitch them, how they want to be pitched. So we want to find out a lot about your expertise in there today. So maybe for an introduction, can you let us know which clients do you serve, in which industries are you active? Maybe also like what's your favorite clients? Which directions do you love the most to
Yeah.
work in PR?
Yeah. Well, living in South Florida, there's so much hospitality and tourism in the area. So I started my PR career working with high-end restaurants and celebrity chefs and hotels in South Florida. Since the pandemic, and a lot of people have changed directions since that time, I expanded to start my own PR firm to include more consumer product goods like jewelry, clothing. I work with financial clients, with tech clients. So I also started working with nonprofit organizations as well. And I really have nothing bad to say. So I really like working with all different types of clients. Each one is so unique, and the story that they're putting out is just so interesting. And I love just expanding my expertise and doing what I can to help my clients.
Yeah, I think like also like the most fascinating thing as a PR consultant for me is that you learn with each client. You know, you learn so much of their industry expertise. You observe the industry news, and then it's always a learning process. That is what keeps me excited about it. Also from the interviews, like the in-depth interviews that we get for our clients.
Yeah.
I feel like I learn a lot from all the entrepreneurs we're working with, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you almost become an expert in their category. So it's really nice. And it's just things I never thought I would learn before. I'm absorbing that knowledge, and I really enjoy that.
yeah, awesome. How do you approach PR in general? So if we're with PR on the go, we're trying to also educate like startups, indie makers, entrepreneurs in the creative industries. Everyone, like they're mostly solopreneurs or working in small teams and start PR for the first time. So it would be really exciting to let them know, like, how do you approach them if they come to you and say, like, look, we're interested in having PR. How would it work? Like, how do you approach a PR campaign with a new
Yeah.
client?
So I think approaching PR with a strategy is, of course, key. If you throw things at the wall and just hope it sticks, probably not going to get very far. So a well thought out PR strategy, which incorporates goals and KPIs, can really do wonders for the client. I like to separate my strategy into quarters. This makes me able to break it down easier versus overwhelming myself and the client for putting the whole year out there. An editorial calendar, like key holidays, relevant times of the year, relevant events, is also important to being successful. And of course, I think such a crucial part of PR are media lists as well. As I mentioned, I work with clients in multiple industries, also different markets across the U.S., from the East Coast to the West Coast, making sure that I research the relevant media in that client's area, and then just updating those lists as reporters change jobs all the time, freelancers come on board and whatnot. That is really key. And then, of course, just starting the whole PR strategy with a press kit as well, making sure I have a bio and a fact sheet on the client. And then, of course, high resolution images really is a key part to success.
Exactly. I keep praying like for high resolution, good image material.
Yeah.
Because usually I tell as a client, like right in advance, that this is the most important, because an article is from the words and the image, or even like if we generate podcast interviews with them, but like I find this a common thing that they sweep under the under the table. So it's really, really helpful to get good image material like founders' headshots and product images, mock-ups. Yeah. But you also mentioned like the big dynamics in the media landscape. I think this keeps us like super busy to always update a reporter or a journalist changing the beats, even changing like what they're covering. Like New York Times recently stopped producing in-house sports journalism, and then the sports journalists suddenly are culture journalists. You know, we need to keep up with a lot there, right? But then at the same time, the media landscape is as accessible as never before. So actually journalists like to be pitched directly by the founders, correct? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been a news reporter. Do you prefer pitches from PR consultants or founders? What's the feeling there?
I prefer pitches from a publicist, of course, but if you mean the founder of a company, having them weigh in is definitely important. I think just making sure that brand messaging is locked in.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the trend of startups, especially reaching out themselves in the beginning when the budget is tight. So this is also an option, right? Before they get funded to hire a PR consultant. I even find this helpful if they do the first steps themselves, so they see it's a full-time job.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because some people come into PR and they're not sure what it is and they're expecting results, right out of the gate. And PR is a well thought out strategy, building a press kit, and deadlines always vary. A print magazine could have a deadline most likely 3 months from now, or their publication is being put out in 3 months from now, so you're not going to see that story immediately. But an online publication, yeah, they might do the interview, but if there's no one to edit it or whatnot, it might not go out for another month versus tomorrow. So it's not always immediate gratification.
Exactly. Two things you mentioned I want to add to. In August, when we had our office break, because we're in Greece, like no one wants to work in August. So you have to have a break here. But all the inquiries came out for the holiday season guides, Christmas gift guides, and whatnot. So there, it was a time for us as publicists to pitch lifestyle products to the magazines in August for December. Yep. And then also what I receive from startup founders or creative entrepreneurs when we get written interview opportunities, that they don't answer as extensive, sometimes just like yes, no, one sentence, no grammar correction. And this is like basically also the work of a publicist to make sure, because then they don't get published. Like I find it's really important to tell them also, or they keep forgetting sometimes, even in interviews when it's more about them as a founder, to talk about their product. So those are common mistakes I see. What are some of the key strategies for entrepreneurs to cut through the noise, to make their brand stand out? Because we're now in an entrepreneurial boom. It started a bit with the Great Resignation, that a lot of people that had built their side hustle and made their first steps into entrepreneurship. Or it's as many creators as never before in the whole world, but then at the same time there's a lot going on. Yes. How can they stand out and get the attention of a journalist?
Yeah, so it really, for a brand, all starts with a key website. The website should be professional, easy to navigate, really showing what, their brand is or what their product is about. I've seen, people looking for PR and they're just not at that place. So it doesn't make sense to, pitch them to a journalist, and the journalist goes and looks at the website and nothing's there. It doesn't, it doesn't even show any credibility. But likewise with that, there should be a strong social media presence in place, consistent updates. And if the social channels haven't essentially been updated in a year, Ford might question if it's even in business anymore. I know, just off topic a little bit, but I watch Shark Tank, and sometimes I look if businesses on there are still in business, and I'll look at their social channels, and they haven't been, like I said, updated in a year. So in my mind, they're probably not in business anymore. But if you're a product, it's extremely also important. If you are being pitched by a publicist to belong to an affiliate program, as you mentioned, gift guides are in full effect right now. They started in August. An affiliate program isn't, do or die or take you off the list, but it definitely heightens the chances that you'll be picked up in relevant listicles or gift guides.
Yeah, these are very great tips, like to make entrepreneurs aware that it could look like as if they're out of business if they don't update the social channels. I always recommend to focus on one or two social channels to decide.
Yep. You don't have to be an expert in everything, TikTok, Threads now, everything else, but just, your main, whether that's Facebook and Instagram, or if it's Twitter, just make sure you have a presence at least in one or two places out there.
Exactly. And then I also recommend to what you said in the beginning, like I mentioned first, like the website, your owned media. We call this in public relations owned media. And because there's, like Twitter threads, those are new trends and they come and go. Someone takes over, like with Twitter, and you might not like it anymore, but your website is a core space. And then what I see now is a lot of AI generated copy, right? Like, because we're doing a lot of copywriting as publicists, I think we see immediately when it's just quickly done with ChatGPT, which always has this essay form that ends like with this horrendous summary, like in summary overall. And I think it's just the social space is now just swamped with ChatGPT copy, which I now am a big advocate. I became a big advocate for rather make mistakes in your copy, or bring in your own tone of voice, even if it's not perfect, but for authenticity. So what's your tip there? How can entrepreneurs inject authenticity into PR efforts? And do you think authenticity, what's the role in PR? And maybe also about community building. I think this is a very important driver in PR.
Yeah. First, I just want to preface it by saying I'm actually nervous of ChatGPT for plagiarism reasons, but also everyone I've talked to, it gives you good ideas, but you have to rewrite the copy itself. So it's kind of like doing double duty there. So it's I'm not too big of a fan. I mean, it is helpful, but not too big of a fan. But in terms of brands, I think really, as I mentioned earlier, narrowing down the brand messaging, making sure you present a unique story surrounding the brand and its corresponding differentiators is so important to getting that idealized image. Authentic engagement not going to come from AI. It's AI, of course, as we just said, is pulled together from elsewhere on the internet. So instead, entrepreneurs must get to know their customers and their audience, really who those customers are, what they like, how the brand can benefit them, whether this is on social media or by way of a community fundraising event or even a giveaway or even an email perk for subscribers. Entrepreneurs have the ability to put their best face forward, and it's in just so many different ways while they build that idealized image.
Yes, exactly. And I love also how this new generation of, or I call them the next gen of entrepreneurs. It doesn't necessarily have to be Gen Z, but I feel because you're now coming on into business, and very often they decide to become entrepreneurs, and they're doing a lot of things different and right. But it doesn't have to do with age, but I call them this next gen entrepreneurs that start their business right from the start, with community in mind, with a social impact in mind, and diversity should be a given. Yeah, unfortunately, even clients that I worked with, it was not a given. I had to find out, even I myself fired clients over this, not the other way around, but transparency. Your thoughts about the commitment to these values, because it's very important. Is also not in PR. It shouldn't be for PR reasons, but you should you should build your business from the ground up decently, right? And with a higher purpose in mind, right?
Yep, 100%. You know, there's so much going on in the world today, and there's such an opportunity to make our planet and our world better for those generations who are following, or those generations that are entrepreneurs now. A brand can really change and pivot and ensure they're incorporating values that resonate with themselves and with others out there. Whether this is like, implementing a recycling program, or ensuring that a product is made from sustainable materials. Maybe they're giving back through, a charitable donation or a percentage of the product that is sold, or even making a commitment, as you said, to maybe hire a more diverse workforce. This transparency by way of PR and building that into the messaging it's just so crucial. People want to support others who are doing good out there, and having that good PR strategy that we mentioned earlier can really build into this, into the brand itself and social media messaging, and really help share the public's perception of the brand and help shape that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I keep telling like startups that I work with, startup clients, that were recently funded. So they're sitting on a lot of money suddenly, and I keep telling them like, okay, let's now like implement social impact right away, decide for a charity, like a good cause to commit to. But then they get too often, unfortunately, they get distracted saying like, oh no, we're busy with our own things still. But so this is why I love this, what I call next gen entrepreneurs that give this a priority when it's in there from the start and really heartfelt. So I really want to call out entrepreneurs to think about like, what is it you want to support the cause from the start. Then this can play beautifully into any communications campaign, and it's also authentically built. So also from your perspective, so you have been a news anchor or a news reporter, right? Yep. And now you're a publicist. What are the pitches that are great? Like, give us all your insights, please, from the journalist perspective. Which pitches caught your attention? And
Yeah, so I would say just from the pitches that have caught my attention when I was a journalist, and why I sort of shape my pitches this way now, because I know, what I was reading, what my colleagues were reading, what type of pitches we would want to move forward with, which pitches we would just discard. So I always try and keep that in mind. And, it really all starts with a catchy yet condensed subject line. Really want to lay out the pitch itself with all the key info, like the who, what, when, where, why, relevant links to the client versus just telling what the client is, give a link back to their website or to their social media, and really just make it easy on the eyes. This means like avoiding bulky paragraphs, clunky formatting. If it's relevant, as we said earlier, include that folder of high resolution images. So the easier that you make a journalist's job, which I've always found, the more likely they're going to be able to pick up the story. If you can minimize the back and forth of the questions of, what's the cost of this? Where is this at? What's the address? And you just lay it out there in a nice formatting, you're really more likely to get that story picked up right from the get-go.
Great. And also, like, I want your opinion. So a lot of startups think that PR, like a good publicist, has the friendships with everyone in the media, and then, because of this friendship, they get the coverage. Yeah. And, but PR involves so much more, building partnerships, collaborations, communities, but the third party endorsement also, like, from your point of view, like, why is PR so much more than just connections that we have?
Yeah, you could have like all the connections in the world, but if you don't have a great story, your client doesn't have a great story, the opportunity is likely just not going to be there. Connections are honestly 5 to 10% of what it takes to land a placement and be successful as a a publicist as a whole. I do have journalist connections. They've turned into my friends. I hang out and get dinner with them. They might answer my emails and phone calls, but if they're short-staffed or the outlet that they're writing for, say they're a freelancer, just doesn't have room for that type of story at the minute, there's nothing they can do on their part, even though they are my connection. As a publicist, of course, it is your job to make your story stand out, make your client's story stand out, and present it in a way that fits that coverage. And of course, we talked about media lists earlier, but it's really critical to make sure you're pitching the right reporters, and you'll know that by doing your research beforehand.
Yes, exactly. So also I find like if everything's well prepared, the journalists scan the press pitches, right? So
Yeah.
then it's about what you said, credibility. What we said with the website, is everything in order? So it's totally opportunities for everyone to pitch. You don't have to go to dinner all the time, especially now you're saying you're serving East Coast, West Coast. We're doing global public relations. I can't go to dinner with everyone. I try, but simply not possible. But I feel like building up connection can also be through email, and that they see the consistency. But then also consistency is about constantly just like reaching out when you really provide value. Maybe you're for the end, how can entrepreneurs really provide value to journalists when they want to reach out?
Yeah, so they really need to be open to sharing their story, telling what void their brand or their product fills. How is their establishment? If they're, a restaurant or a hotel, how is it like any other out there? What one-of-a-kind efforts is their organization doing? Maybe they're a nonprofit. What is their organization doing to shape the world? Letting a publicist uncover that messaging and relay that to a journalist who can share that story on a larger scale is, why we are publicists. If an entrepreneur can tie their brand in with current worldly events out there, or show why something their targeted customer needs in their lives, why that is that product, it will only add value. They also have to be open to taking, criticism, changing direction, willing to see what works and what doesn't. Of course, not every PR pitch is a home run, just like not every sale of something is guaranteed. So you just have to be willing to trust in the process and know that it does take time, but you are on the right track and you have invested in a publicist for a reason. So yeah, you just really be willing to trust in that.
Awesome. That's a great summary. Also to let you know, we're currently developing for PR on the Go a platform where we will onboard journalists that are interested in entrepreneurs in the creative industries and startups and publicists to connect with each other, to directly get in communication with each other. And the vision and the goal is to really democratize access to the media landscape, of course, as the biggest part of PR, but also like to connections and democratize success. So it shouldn't be about ad spend. And this is what I find so beautiful about PR. Actually, it gives everyone the opportunity who is the most innovative, has the most interesting founder story, or who is the most creative, the chance to get publicity, get published in a magazine, get interviews, versus, oh, I just have the biggest budget, so I can throw it at ad spend. And by my success, it's a different thing. So this is why I love PR so much, and this is where we're heading with PR on the Go. And for all the listeners and viewers out there, so you will meet also Kristen in the PR on the Go platform, which we will soon launch. Hopefully, obviously, like always delayed. Everything takes a long time with development, but this year it's gonna happen. I'm excited to meet you in there. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I would just say, as you just mentioned, ad spend. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I see an ad in a magazine or an ad on TV, I blink once. I really never think about it ever again. So PR is definitely the way to go. And if you are interested, PR on the Go has so many resources and really, dives into what PR is, and it's just such a valuable resource.
Great, great. Also, how can a startup reach out to you or an entrepreneur from the creative industry? Or you said like you're really excited also about hospitality industry in Florida. How are you free? Are you available? Are you open for requests? Can they just come to your website, send you an email?
Yes, yep. My website is kmsgroup.co, so not .com, .co, and my email is kristen@kmsgroup.co, and I'm definitely interested in working with new clients, telling new client stories, and no industry is off limits. I've really, as I said, expanded, and I really enjoy all the clients that I've worked with and all the people that I meet along the way as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
and have
you.
a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.